families being seated, could I ask everyone to please turn your cell phones to silent mode? The service will be conducted by Rabbi Stephen Starklow.
Death has taken our beloved, the Honorable James Bernard Klein. Our friends grieve in their darkened world, in their silence there is lamentation, in their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. For James's love that united us in life which death cannot sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path, which now continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness, and is now a precious, precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that brings us the evergreen message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator in joys and sorrow, in light as in darkness, in life and in death. Psalm 121. Esai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim ba'aretz. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard your soul. You're going and coming, now and forever. We extend our deepest condolences to Jimmy's family, to an incredible wife, to Evie. We thank you for all that you do in our community. We thank you for all that help that you bring to so many, but most of all to your family, and the love that you share with so many people, your neighbors, your friends. So many are here today to help you walk this path. And to your children, to Bradley and Rhonda and Michael and Emily, and to their children, your grandchildren, Jeremy, Brandon, Ryan, and Dylan, Haley, and Miles. How lucky you are to all be a family. And it doesn't matter where anyone lives, it doesn't matter what anyone does. What matters is that you are together as a family, helping each other walk this path. To help each other down this road, and to know that you don't have to do it alone. You have each other. You have an amazing family and a great role model in your husband, your father, and your grandfather. To serve as a reminder of all that was good and all that is good in this world. And to extended family, to nieces, nephews, to relatives, to friends, to cousins, to so many who were touched by Jimmy's kindness, by his goodness, by his love. We are truly grateful. And so we offer words of our tradition. It doesn't matter what faith tradition we may be from. We offer words of the Psalms to help us walk this path. The 23rd Psalm is probably the most famous of all of the Psalms, the most beautiful as well, reminding us that together we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, meaning that we're not always in the valley of the shadow of death, but we walk through it. There's a before, there's a during, and then there's an after. And as we walk together through that valley, we help each other. The words in Hebrew are so beautiful. Adonai ro'i lo atzar b'no desha yar b'tzeni, amei b'nufot yinachaleni nafshi yashovev, yancheni b'magle tzedek lama'an shemo, gam ti'elech b'geit salmavet lo yirarat ki ata imadi. Tov v'chesed yirafuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'beit Adonai la'orach yamim. The words are incorporated in the service supplement. We say together the 23rd Psalm in his honor and in his memory. Together, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. At this hour, the blessed presence of family and friends brings comfort and strength. It says to us, be sure that love, the spring of life, abides. May all who mourn take heart as they remember the goodness they've given and received. And when the days of their mourning are ended, may the memory of their loved ones, may Jimmy's memory truly be a blessing. Rabbi Larry Kushner writes the following. Each lifetime is the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. For some there are more pieces, for others the puzzle is more difficult to assemble. Some of us seem to be born with nearly a completed puzzle, and so it goes. Souls going this way and that, trying to assemble the myriad of parts. But know this. No one has within themselves all the pieces of their puzzle. Like before the days when they used to seal jigsaw puzzles in cellophane, ensuring that all the pieces were there. Everyone carries with them at least one and probably many pieces to someone else's puzzle. Sometimes they know it, sometimes they don't. And when you present your piece, which is worthless to you, to another, whether you know it or not, whether they know it or not, you are a messenger from God Most High. Everyone in this room, everyone on this live stream, in some way has received a piece of James Bernard Klein's puzzle. Maybe you got it directly from him on a Tuesday night at Little Red Hen. Maybe you got it as a neighbor across the street on Hazel and Greenwood. Maybe you got it as a friend of Evie or a friend of the boys. Maybe you got it as a neighbor or a relative, or from the South Side when you first arrived, like the Raybocks in this country. And then you met a small little baby named Jimmy. Everyone has somehow acquired a piece of Jimmy's story. And the good news is, he was a big man in every way. So there's a lot of pieces to that story. There's a lot to share. And for the years, the 83 that he lived on this earth, he shared those stories as best he could. He did so with kindness, he did so with compassion, he did so with love. Since 1974, you've been members of this congregation even before we were in this building. But on the wall of this building, since the 1920s, is a quote from the prophet Micah that asks a simple question. What is it that God really requires of us? This is where James Klein truly excelled. Because Micah gives a very simple answer. What is it that God requires of us? And when you leave the sanctuary through the main door, I hope you look at that Egon Weiner relief that's been part of this building since 1927. Micah said, what is it that God requires of us? Only this. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. I can't think of a better way to describe Judge Klein. Because every day of his life, he did justice. He loved mercy. And he walked humbly, as best that he could, for as long as he could. He walked humbly with God. In a book called God Whispers, it's written, the true worth of a life is the story that it leaves behind. Tell that story well. Did he teach you about love? Did he personify genius or sensitivity? Did his life warn you of the danger of bitterness and anger? As I stand and behold the eyes of those who mourn, I realize the only difference between people in this world is not their wealth, their fame, or their success. The only difference is those that had love in their life and those who did not. James Bernard Klein had love in his life from the day he came into this world, from his beautiful and loving parents, Eleanor Schreier and Bernard Klein, from his late sibling Maxine and her family, from relatives and friends, Thea and the late Arnold Siegel, and so many others. So many others, the Hearst family and the Schreier family, and the Raybach family, and in the Glencoe family. He had love in his life from the day he came in until his final breath, and for that we're grateful. But it's his children and grandchildren that got the biggest piece of that puzzle and the most of that love. So it's my honor to begin by inviting Bradley to come forward, followed by Michael, to pay tribute to their dad.
All right, good morning. On behalf of my mother, my brother, and myself, we want to say thank you for coming and saying goodbye to my father. He was known by many different names to us: a husband, a father, grandpa, Big Jim, and of course, Honorable Judge Father. Grandpa was so proud of all the grandkids: Jeremy, Brandon, Ryan, Dylan, Kayla, and Miles. He always worked to learn about their interests, what was interesting to them, help them become more successful in what was important to them. And I would say that he wants you to continue with that success, those things that he taught you, to continue that. To the sister-in-laws, Ron and Emily, Dad was so happy they were part of our lives. That provided family, and of course the grandkids, right? Dad and Mom wanted grandkids, right? I think that's why they always really want you to get married. And I think one of the things that was really proud of, and one of the pictures is on your program, is that of him marrying both of us, Michael and Emily and Brad and Rhonda. You know, you see that in that picture. He's really proud of that, those moments that he could share with us. I'd like to share a quick story. You know, one of my great childhood memories. You know, Dad got me into go-karting. I don't know if you know the story, but really, it was because he had a dune buggy that he didn't really want, that he ended up trading for a go-kart to someone to say, hey, I got a go-kart, something like it, I'd like to have him do it. And we got to travel all over the country. Dad would drive, no matter what time, Dad got in the car, and he would take us. He drove everywhere. For me, my mom, no matter what it was, he would get in that car and drive us. Dad learned, one of the things Dad always did was wanted to get more knowledge, right? He was always wanting to have more knowledge. So for go-karting, the biggest thing that Dad was known as was the mad scientist. We would have 20 different bottles of fuel in our trailer or in the garage that he would mix. We had more concoctions of race fuel than we had go-karts or parts or brains. But Dad always wanted to be the best and always trying to stay to make us win. So I really appreciate that. And during our go-karting time, Dad, the go-kart track we raced at in Wisconsin was going to close because they were out of money. Dad and a group of friends bought the go-kart track so the kids could keep racing. If not, we would no longer be racing. And you know, now my kids actually went to that go-kart track and raced. We still are part owners of that track. That's something that Dad, you know, was proud to be part of and keep me at that time, you know, happy to be able to go-kart. My dad taught Grandpa Jim, Big Dan, taught me compassion for people. Be compassionate, listen to what they have to say. Don't jump to conclusions. Dad always said, what are the facts? He always wanted to know before he'd give you that answer, get that knowledge. So I really see that as something that he left for me as compassion for other people and not jump to those conclusions. So I use that today in work every day, be compassionate and listen and don't jump the gun. Let's hear what everyone has to say and not make an answer. So again, I'd like to say, we appreciate you coming and remembering my father. If you know him as Honorable Judge Klein, or James Klein, or Big Jim, or Dad, or Grandpa, or Jimmy, whatever your name is for him, we appreciate you all coming. Say about that. And I love you, Dad.
Michael, I invite you to come forward.
Thank you for being here. As my brother mentioned, obviously, we all care about everybody in the room. You guys are all a significant part of our lives and have been, and we're a significant part of his life, and made a lot of big differences for us growing up and becoming who we've become and our family. So, thank you. I put something together, obviously trying to capture what I feel was something that he represented. So, dads are somebody to look up to, somebody to follow, somebody to admire, somebody to be proud of,
someone to brag about, someone to hold, and someone to cry with, someone to learn from and someone to respect, someone to listen to and someone to talk about, someone to try and impress, sometimes rebel against, and someone, most of all, with whom to share everything this wonderful life has to offer. I'm so incredibly grateful and happy that I can stand here today and tell you that I have had all of this and much, much more with my dad. I have been blessed to have had Jimmy as my dad. To say I love my dad would be an understatement, and to say I'm going to miss him would be an even greater understatement. I cannot begin to imagine not having Dad on the end of a phone or popping around in a moment's notice to assist in his ever-graceful manner. With any project, great or small, with which I happen to be needing advice or help to be with my children or family. Dad was always there for everyone, family, neighbors, colleagues, or friends. I have known him to drive from around the earth to spend a weekend watching me play hockey or helping my brother with go-karting. He never missed a game, practice, or event. He always prioritized us over everything else. He always seemed to be able to draw upon boundless energy. He was a very clever man, but was never afraid of having a laugh at his own expense. I could tell you about the time he drove his Rolls Royce across the country and stalled in New Mexico. He didn't know what happened. He could not figure out what was going on when he was on the side of the road. He did what anyone would do: call a tow truck and have it towed from New Mexico to Chicago. Yes, to Chicago, not a local shop. He couldn't find any Rolls Royce dealership between New Mexico and Chicago that he trusted. He could only have his mechanic work on his car, only to find out he had run out of gas. He can help you with a complex problem or just as happily to find a battery for you. As many of you know, he was the most generous with his time, always willing to listen and provide advice. Dad was always there for Mom. For 58 years, they've shared everything life can offer together. They were a great team, supporting each other in every way. Dad was hardworking, compassionate towards everyone, and deserved the success and rich life that he enjoyed. He taught me many, many things, but I think most importantly, he gave us the ability to know that if you really put your mind to something, anything is possible, and never to be afraid to give anything a go. His attention to detail and perfectionism was infectious, and once in a while could get him into trouble. I will never forget when he shipped one of the Rolls Royces to England and toured England with my mom. He knew the only way to see England was in a Rolls Royce, and of course, he had to stop at the Rolls Royce factory to tour and learn about his own car. He also had a few items to teach them as well about the car. His passion for grandkids gave him many happy hours, sharing all of their interests and sharing his. His passion for cars, sports, and shopping resonated with all of them. Dad was incredibly practical and creative, and I'm so lucky that he passed on so much of his knowledge and skills to me. It is, of course, always possible to look back and remember those times when things didn't always go to plan. like the time my brother and I ran carnivals in our front lawn and drove all the kids around the house on our motorcycles. Mind you, we were 8 and 12. I'm talking real motorcycles and go-karts driving around in the heart of Blanco. He felt this was exactly what we should be doing, having experiences and connecting with everyone and having fun. This didn't work out well for the front lawn, but it worked out great for the neighborhood kids. Nobody can be perfect, but Dad was as close to the most perfect dad anyone could have. Dad's love is unconditional, and this is something I will cherish from his character and take with me forever. His kindness and generosity will be remembered by all who had the pleasure of knowing him. I would like to thank my mom, my wife, kids, and extended family. We appreciate everyone being here today and being in our lives. You know Jimmy loved you all very much, and he was so proud of all your wonderful achievements.
I'm humbled by my mom's strength over the past 15 years and her ability to focus on the amazing life she shared with my dad. My parents made everyone better. I know in his last breath and final thoughts, he did everything for his family. We love him and we miss him.
Brad and Michael, thank you for those beautiful words. Ryan, thank you for pinch hitting for your dad. One of the oldest responsibilities is to be a maturgaman, to be a translator. And so you just were able to do that for your dad, and that's really a special thing. So it's my honor to now invite all of the grandchildren, Jeremy, Brandon, Ryan, Dylan, Haley, and Miles to come forward. And they'll speak in descending age order, oldest to youngest.
Everybody, I'm Jeremy. I was Grandpa's oldest grandchild. In addition to being my grandpa, he was also my best friend. He was somebody who any of us could call upon at any of the hours of the day, except it had to be during billable hours because he enjoyed taking a nap and eating his dinner at 6 o'clock. And as I said, it was just somebody who we could all call upon. He was proud to be a part of all of our lives. He supported us in any which way that he could, and he would let us sink a little bit. If you didn't agree with the decision, he would give you that little notion that he didn't agree, but he would let you figure it out, and then he would go over with you what you learned afterwards and how you could grow from it. And he made it his priority. When you were talking to him, nothing else in the world mattered to him at that moment. He wanted to spend every bit of energy he could figuring out what you were trying to do, or just what he could do to help you achieve what goal you were looking at doing. And he made his priority for all of us that our successes were also part of his. He wanted to know everything. And he was always so happy to talk, even if it was for 2 minutes. It brightened his day up. He was my best friend, and I'm glad I could call him my best friend and my grandpa. I love you, Grandpa.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm the second oldest. Grandpa, first off, thank you for being my grandpa. Thank you for always being there for us, always being able to pick up the phone whenever you were up and able to always talk to us and giving every second of your time to us. Thank you for supporting me and all of us for everything that we do. Thank you for making me smile at any part of the day. Thank you for pushing me to do what I want to do with my life, which is flying, and always telling me to go for what I want and supporting me in every way of that. I will always use your wisdom that you helped me gain and grow with that. So thank you, Grandpa. I will always love you, and may we meet again.
Hi, my name is Ryan. Nice grandson of mine. Grandpa Jim, to me, he was just Grandpa Jim. Like Uncle Brad said, he went by many names. And simply, he was my hero. He worked hard to earn everything he had, and he was always over generous with us, and always so helpful. He always had time for whatever we needed. If that was some crazy project we were working on, or if we just wanted to sit and talk. he had a passion for innovative ideas and technology, and he was very passionate. He really inspired me to do what I want to do with my life, which is create, and I think he really pushed me towards that. He always had just the thing to help you out, whether it was some oddly specific tool or just his wisdom. He always had your back. He was there for you, no matter the hour of the day, as long as he was not napping. He was there to help you out. He was an inspiration for many, and he had a great impact on a lot of people's lives. And I'll miss him. Love you, Grandpa Jim.
Hello, I'm Dylan. I'm his fourth grandson. My grandfather was one cool dude. Every time you had the opportunity to talk to him, he made you feel as if you were the only thing on the planet that brought him joy. He was always involved in whatever you had going on. He always made it a priority to be a part of your story and be a part of your accomplishments. And now he won't be able.
And now he won't be able to see those accomplishments with his own two eyes, or be able to see his first grandson or granddaughter get married. But he will always be a part of those accomplishments by looking down upon us and giving us the strength to persevere and push through all the difficult times ahead, as if he was next to us every day. I love you, Grandpa, and you will forever and always be part of my life.
Hi, I'm Haley. Grandpa Jim was kind, funny, and someone you always wanted to be around. There was always something to talk about with him, either random, never seen before items he ordered or the shows he had been watching, as well as always talking about something that had been going on in both of our lives. He always had a lot of good advice. Grandpa Jim was so generous and always found a way to get something, even if it was sold out everywhere. One time, after a competition I had, he was somehow able to surprise me with a limited edition leotard that was sold out everywhere. He's the only person that I know that could find a way to make something like that happen. I love him so much, and I will never forget all the amazing memories I had with him.
Hi, my name is Miles, and I'm the sixth grandchild. I want to start by mentioning how compassionate and thoughtful Grandpa was. He was deeply interested in all of his grandkids' lives, and he would spend hours researching each of his grandkids' interests, from cars to virtual reality, drones, or 3D printing. Whenever you talked with him, you could tell that he wanted to get to know you and share his kindness with you. Grandpa loved his family and enjoyed family dinners, whether Chinese food, barbecue, steak, home cooked, or a restaurant. Everyone loved to eat dinner with him. Grandpa always tried to be as helpful as he could, no matter the situation, because he really cared for his family. I was happy to be around Grandpa, as he was always nice and considered my feelings when we were together.
As I look to the six of you, I know that the future is in very good hands. I know that the legacy of your grandfather will continue. And I know that all of you will carry on that legacy. You'll tell those stories, you'll share those memories, and you'll stand on the shoulders, very big and broad shoulders, of a very, very, very special man. George Bernard Shaw once wrote the following: I'm of the opinion that my life belongs to the community. As long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. Life is no brief candle to me. It's a sort of splendid torch, which I've got hold of for the moment. And I want it to burn as brightly as possible before passing it on to future generations. That teaching by George Bernard Shaw is absolutely perfect. For here was a man who truly believed that his life belonged to the community. And he saw living as a privilege, to do whatever he could for each one of you. The harder he worked, the more he lived. And that was so important to your grandfather. That splendid torch which burns
so bright, now gets passed on to the sixth of you, and your families one day, and your family's families. And you'll keep his memory alive as best you can. You'll continue his legacies. May he rest in peace. In the Jewish tradition, we have a prayer called a Misha Berach, a prayer for healing. We offer this prayer for healing of body, as we prayed when he was sick for healing. But we also pray for healing of spirit. And that's what we pray for now. Please join with me. Misha Berach. Holy, we praise you, O God, who brings healing to all those in need. And let us say amen. Amen. The Honorable James Bernard Klein was a big man with a big presence. You know, everything about him was big. He loved big, he cared big, he was always caring and empathetic, knowledgeable, loving. He always went the extra step. He always did for you no matter what. In a big way, he did that for his family, as you heard from 2 amazing sons and 6 amazing grandchildren. He would help in any way possible. That was Jimmy. Born in Chicago at Hyde Park in 1937 to Bernard and Eleanor Schreier. Along with his sister Maxine of blessed memory, they were first cousins to a large and prominent Schreier family on the south side. And the family had Shabbat dinners, activities, gatherings. He attended Beth Am and KAM. He went to Hyde Park High School, Bret Hart, Iowa Western, and earned a JD degree from DePaul. Jimmy Klein was a dedicated public servant who served our country in the Navy Reserves for 6 months, and for every single day in the Navy Reserve, he was sick. He wanted to be a pilot, but his eyes weren't good enough. But now that tradition gets carried on. He did take flight lessons. He did learn to fly. James dedicated his life to working for the government. He never gave an answer right away. He always wanted to gather the facts. For Jim, it was a process to get to the right answer. No matter what the question was, he would always drill down to the very small details. He handled appeals for the state's attorney's office. He would go out with policemen on calls to see if there was a case to be built. He became friends, best friends with the police. He did magistrate work for unemployment, guardian and advocacy work, community service and outreach, bringing the state's attorney's office directly to the people. He was always supportive of women and women's issues. He was a great delegator, a real collaborator. He liked people doing well and ultimately became a judge. The Honorable James Bernard Klein, a divorce judge. He was quite good at it. He wore the robe with great pride. But he also loved computers. He learned how to program, bought the first Apple computer computer, build a TV from scratch and it worked, rebuilt cars. He could fix or build anything. I love the story, Evie, that you shared with me, that a friend fixed the two of you up on a first date. And even though Jimmy said on that very first date, I'm going to marry you, I don't think it went that well for you. But Jimmy knew that you were the one.